All right, we'll call tonight's meeting of the Scranton City Planning Commission to order. Don, would you mind doing roll call, please?
Mr. Enten?
Present.
Mr. Fahey?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Murphy? Here. Mr. Flanagan?
Here.
Mr. Pousley?
Here. Thanks, Don. We do have minutes from our last meeting, so if everybody had a chance to review those, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our January 28th meeting.
So moved.
Thanks. Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. First item under old business, Don, I'm going to go ahead and put off the general commission business till the end so we can get into some of the project plans, not keep anybody here longer than we need to. So the first project under old business is review of the preliminary final land development plan for Copacabana Glamping Complex, Morgan Highway. Do we have anyone here tonight for that project? Any updates
We haven't
from
had-
you or Casey?
just, I've had some conversations with them. We clarified the zoning and the PP&L right away, but we haven't gotten any more engineering, any more of the engineering comments.
Right. Yeah, we wrote a letter prior to last month's meeting, January 22nd, no response formally. They came to the meeting last month and said they would respond, so.
Sure.
So we'll continue to carry it on the agenda until it's approved.
Okay, sounds good. And we received an extension on that one, correct?
Yeah, I've talked to their engineer. We'll have that in the record.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Moving right along. First item of new business then is a review of the land development plan for Finish Line Autobody, 749 North Kaiser Ave. I know we have some folks here tonight on that one, so you can go ahead and come up and share a little bit about the project.
My name is Artie Coolbaugh. I'm with Design BLD. We're an engineering firm in Exeter. I was here last month with my colleague Dave Johns, who is a professional engineer with our office representing Finish Line Autobody. Dave McDonald from Finish Line Auto is also in the audience today. Last month we presented a sketch plan informally just to introduce everyone to the project, and since then we have submitted a formal land development application to this Planning Commission and to Riley Engineering. Along with that, we submitted an ancillary submission to Lackawanna County Regional Planning Commission, the Lackawanna County Conservation District, and we are working through DEP Component 3 planning. We also submitted to the fire chief for his review as well. And we're simply here tonight to ask for acceptance of the land development application with intentions of receiving engineering letters over the next month and attending the next meeting, hoping to have addressed all of them. I'll also mention that we submitted a waiver request to submit these plans as preliminary/final, as opposed to going through preliminary land development and then final land development approval. We anticipate there may be additional waivers that come up through the engineering review, and we ask that we be allowed to address those as they come up. I'm not sure if that's something you guys would vote on tonight for preliminary final approval, or if that's something you would wait until the next meeting for. If you'd like, I could go through quickly a brief overview of the project just to refresh everyone on it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sure. Thank you.
It's all right.
If you can, yeah, unfortunately, I just want to make sure you're on the microphone so that we get it, we get the recording.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll pop these up and then I'll just come back and flip them around.
Perfect, yeah. Thank you.
So the first plan I have up here is the existing features plan. The property line is outlined in pink. The project is located at the corner of North Kaiser and Hudson Flume in Scranton. And then also outlined in orange is the existing impervious on site. So I just wanted to show that for what's currently out there. It's about 10,000 square feet of impervious on the site today. The lot is otherwise vacant. The next plan is the C100 layout plan, showing the proposed building, paving improvements, and parking areas. Outlined again is pink, the property boundary, and outlined in green is all of the proposed impervious area, so including the building and pavement coverage. The new Autobody shop is going to be 4,920 square feet, which requires 20 parking spaces. Since the sketch plan, we have revised it to show additional pave to allow access to the overhead doors on the side of the building. And we've striped out a no parking area in front of the overhead doors in the front of the building and added 2 sort of parallel parking stalls on the side of the building there, should they be needed. We do envision, though, that the owner will utilize those as when cars come in and people leave their cars for service, they'll shuffle them in there to go to the overhead doors on the side. Are there any questions so far? The next plan is the C200 grading and storm plan, and all I wanted to highlight on this is down at the bottom of the parking lot, stormwater on the site will be managed using an infiltration trench, which will receive runoff from the site via 2 inlets in the corners of the parking lot, and it will be discharged back to sheet flow conditions using a level spreader in the corner of the property. This next plan is the site utility plan. We're showing new water and sewer connections along the front of the property. The water connection is just inside the property line along Kaiser Ave, and the sanitary line is in Kaiser Ave, while the gas line and the electric connection are, excuse me, are along Hudson Flume, off to the side of the property there. And the final plan I wanted to show here is just a highlighted area showcasing where we will have a landscaping bed along the front of the property, which will have decorative grass and 3-foot-high shrubs. And we're showing 2 street trees per the zoning requirements at each end of the landscaping bed. And those are all the plans.
So you said street trees all along that green line, or just at the 2? Okay. Okay.
Don, Casey, anything you want to add to the conversation tonight?
No, I think the plans are in a position to be accepted for review.
I will also add, we do have a site level photometric plan. I don't have print on it because at that distance it doesn't really.
Okay. So Casey, did you issue a review letter on this one yet?
Not formally.
Okay.
I did look through it quick, and I agree with Don. They're ready to be accepted for our review, and I just had a couple quick thoughts as I went through it. And you covered a couple of these items, and we talked about them last month. The E&S you mentioned was submitted, the sewage planning, county planning review, the fire chief, and it looks like you'll need a utility HOP as well for these connections.
I believe we will simply just for the
Yeah. Okay.
And in my experience with PennDOT, that's something that usually has to be applied for either the municipality or the sanitary authority's name.
Yeah.
We're happy to handle that, but we will have to have just some cooperation either from City of Scranton or from Pennsylvania American to apply for the
Okay.
Yeah, let me know if you need a sign off from the city.
Just a question on the location of the driveway into the site. Does that allow sufficient room for a car that was coming down, I guess it's Hudson Bloom, to turn right? Is there room for a car to be waiting to turn and for another car to turn into the
If there's
driveway?
one sitting here waiting to turn out, and then if someone needs to, you're saying, like, they put a queue here with a long driveway?
Correct.
I can definitely look into that. I believe there's sufficient room, but we can put standard turning templates on the plans. And if Casey feels, if we approve that in the engineering review letter, I would address that.
Okay.
Could you talk a little bit about the, so in the front, my understanding is that the property currently has some curbing along Kaiser Ave, but then there's two areas that, were driveways. So basically, so what are you doing there? Will there be curbing, concrete curbing along Kaiser Ave, or are you just looking to kind of landscape that area where the driveways are now? What's that going?
So just to clarify the existing plan, so these circular areas here are curved out for what we believe was maybe an access or two access points to the site from Kaiser Ave. As part of this project, we are, so the intention is that the landscaping bed as well as the curved parking lot will cut off that access, and access will be exclusively from Hudson.
Okay. So there wouldn't be, so you're not installing curbing along Kaiser Ave?
We're not doing any work in the right of
Okay.
way, aside from what Don Casey had mentioned of connecting the sanitary sewer line to Kaiser Ave.
Yeah. But there would be curbing, it looks like, around the new parking lot?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my only question would be, maybe Casey or Don, you could weigh in on this, is whether that, whether like that's sufficient for drivers on Kaiser Ave to not try to pull in that way. I don't know what kind of, I know you mentioned, some grasses and shrubs and whatnot. I would just want to make sure it's pretty clear that you're not getting into the parking lot there if there's
Yeah.
no curb to prevent you from doing that.
Yeah, because it will remain open. It looks like they put in what are essentially islands, probably when they did the project in the early 2000s. So they're not just a standalone curb. They're I don't know, 5 feet wide. Yeah.
Maybe like
3 feet wide with it looks like almost looks like a sidewalk, but it's curbs like you'd see on an island for a driveway or something like that. So.
And I would just add that the small line, just about 6 inches off the 6 inches off the edge of the pavement, all the way down this side, all the way along the bottom, and up to the new driveway. That will be all curved, so no one will be able to, pull forward off of this or turn in here and be able to get into the parking lot without driving over the 6-inch curve.
Okay. And outside, other than the landscaping bed, would that be grass around the parking lot there?
Yeah, everything that's not shown as paved will be a mix of, the existing conditions out there and some grasses to create site.
Okay. I know the other thing that came up when we took a look at the sketch plans last time was sidewalks. Don, Casey, can you confirm whether or not sidewalks are required here? I know there aren't existing sidewalks on most of these properties along Kaiser Ave.
The ordinance requires sidewalks, but I mean, this might be a case where we might entertain a waiver for them, as there's no sidewalks on either side of this property.
And for some distance as well. There's an
I took
extra
a look.
wide shoulder when you get to the white line. There's quite a bit of a shoulder there, but there doesn't appear to be any walking paths
No,
anywhere.
not at all
Right.
in this area.
Yeah.
As far as,
And we considered that with our design, and we thought it would be best to kind of let that comment come through with the, you know, with the engineering review and any planning commission comments, along with any other necessary waivers, and we'll gladly issue a second waiver request letter for approval for the next meeting if required.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's worth the discussion just for your application, because if this planning commission decides that they're not going to grant you a waiver, I think it gets complicated for your application, because you'll have to go to the Department of Transportation and get an HOP for that work. So, you know, in the interest of that, you know, it might put you in a month from now, if you're looking at, you know, a 60 or 90-day review period, putting in a formal HOP instead of a utility HOP, you know, just saying, I think we should discuss it
Okay.
sooner rather than later, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, definitely understood. That's I'm comfortable with that. If that's something that you guys wanted to entertain tonight, or if you need a formal waiver request letter, then that's okay too. I'm happy to provide that. Or if it's something you wanted to discuss tonight and maybe table for next meeting, that's okay too.
Sure.
I'll leave that up to your discretion.
Yeah, I think you should submit the formal waiver request, and then that gives the commission time to look at the rest of the area up there before the next meeting.
Okay, yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So if we went by the letter of the law and there was a sidewalk there, it would just be like a sidewalk to and from nothing for a very long time, essentially? Okay.
Yeah.
This stretch of Kaiser Avenue is very commercial, right, with lots of driveways in and out. There are no sidewalks
Got it.
at all.
Okay.
I couldn't say the distance, but I
Sure.
did take a look at it on Google Maps today, and it's not
Substantial.
pedestrian, conducive to pedestrians in any way.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
I would also say that the anticipated use for the site is probably not going to be a heavy pedestrian traffic use. It's going to be, you know, people coming in for auto service. I, you know, can't see too many people walking to and from the site.
Yeah, I mean, typically, I would say, yes, we have to adhere, right, to the ordinance and require sidewalks. This particular area, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that personally. You know, I normally look, and I know we've looked at some other projects, and even though there weren't sidewalks on either side of the property, if they were in areas that, you know, were areas where people are likely to be walking, you know, it makes sense to start somewhere. But, you know, I think just knowing Kaiser Avenue, this area, there are not sidewalks, and there are unlikely to be sidewalks, and are unlikely to be pedestrians in this particular area. So, yeah, I think I'd tend to look favorably on a waiver request on this one. All right. Other questions from Planning Commission members about the project? All right. So tonight, Casey's recommending that we vote to accept the plans for review, and that'll start the formal review process.
Yeah, start the clock on our review.
Okay, sounds good. Then we'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, what about the request to have preliminary final, preliminary/final, is that,
Is that a waiver we need to,
We don't have an objection to it, and I don't know that anyone else would for the scale, the scope of this project. So it's something you could approve tonight, or you can approve at a later date as a part of a larger approval. They've submitted the letter for this, and I think you mentioned like there may be other waivers that come up through the review process. So that's your pleasure if you want to.
so we could wait? I'm okay waiting on it, then. We can
approve all
accept it
the
for
changes
review.
or the waivers at the same time?
Yeah. Good question, though. Anything else on the question?
Yeah, who was the second?
Joe. All right, let's go ahead and, when you're ready, we can do roll call. Done.
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes?
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Pousley?
Yes. All right, motion carries. We've accepted the plans, and yeah, you can work with Casey and Don. He'll get you a formal review letter, and we'll take it from there, and hopefully see you next month.
Very good. Thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we're going to circle back around now to just some quick general commission business here. A couple of things I did want to follow up on. One of those is our the public participation policy that we had talked about at the last meeting. So there was some discussion on that. The main point being, there was some questions, some interest in possibly taking the requirement that public speakers be residents or taxpayers out of the policy to allow anybody, whether or not they're a resident or Scranton taxpayer, to comment. So I did run that by the city's legal department. They recommended that we keep it as is. We keep the policy as is, but did let me know that we are fully within our rights for any given meeting if we want to kind of rescind that and allow, kind of open up public comment period to anyone regardless of their residency. We could do that. So, in that way it gives us an opportunity, for the normal course of business, for most projects, we'd be restricting it to, residents or taxpayers. But in cases where there was a project that, we felt as a commission, would have a kind of broader impact and may impact folks who don't live in the city or pay taxes here, we could do that. Happy to discuss that. That was, kind of the legal recommendation that we got. Seemed to make sense to me, if nobody else objects to that.
No.
Okay. The only other thing that we had talked about was eliminating, and I'm not sure if you've got this in front of you tonight, apologies if we don't have copies tonight, but there was one item under, things that are prohibited, specifically loud or boisterous conduct, which I believe Gus had suggested we might want to strike.
Boisterous?
I'm okay with doing that. Gus likes a little bit of boisterousness, I guess. So, of course, that doesn't obviously prevent us from enforcing any other conduct rules here, or making a determination if somebody goes beyond boisterousness to, threatening or otherwise not adhering to the other conduct items here. So, any other questions, comments on the public participation policy?
Just to clarify, so that as it says today, if you're not a resident or taxpayer, you're not able to participate in the public comments, but we can make an exception to allow someone to if we deem it necessary?
Correct, yeah. So currently the policy reads, quote, "Any resident or taxpayer may address the city planning commission during its designated public comment portion of the meeting." The city's law department recommended that we leave it as is, but they noted to me that, the chair, during any particular meeting, we felt like there was good reason to, open it up to comments from anyone. We could do that.
Okay.
Caveat being, a couple of caveats being, one, it would have to apply to the entire meeting. So, we couldn't just, at one point give, one particular person who's not a resident the opportunity to speak and then not other non-residents. So it would have to apply, to the whole meeting. But we can make that decision on a, meeting by meeting basis.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Because I remember like when we were doing the CMC, the Geisinger, there was a gentleman from Music who was speaking and said, Sunshine Laws, and I have a right to speak, and he wasn't a taxpayer or a resident.
Yeah, I think that's a good, a
So,
good example of a project where, it may have a broader impact beyond just, the city limits that, we as a commission might decide to open it up, for that meeting to other comment, but also prevents, lots of comments, on other projects that people may not have standing for, which I also don't think is typically a problem, but.
Would that ruling prevent students from speaking if they're like a student at the U or Marywood or something and weren't residents of Scranton?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I have noticed in some recent city council meetings that some students at the University of Scranton have spoken. They've allowed them to speak, and I do know that they require speakers to be Scranton residents. So, yeah, maybe even the term resident might be one that could be up for debate here, but.
Like they're just like a resident that's renting?
Right, yeah, so, yeah, in
I mean,
theory.
if they're going to the U, they're residents.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, again, it's, I guess you could get into like what the legal definition of a resident is if they're, mailing
Somebody could have
addresses in
multiple
the city of
residences.
Scranton, exactly, so, but yeah, I think to answer your question, again, it's probably something that we would, kind of make a decision about, but it does seem like there's some precedent that the city set that, students are residents and have a right to speak, so. Good question.
Sounds good.
All right. If there's no other discussion on that, then I'll make the motion to approve the public participation policy as it was shared at the last meeting, with the one change being we'll eliminate item 8F, loud or boisterous conduct, from the policy, and everything else would remain as is. Do you have a second?
Yes, second.
All righty. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so we now have an official public participation policy. Last item of new business I wanted to bring up is just to revisit our conversation about the solicitor. Don, I believe after the last meeting, you were going to consult with the law department. I know there was some discussion about someone that might be a good fit for it. Have you had any follow-up conversations since the last
I
time?
haven't had anything or heard anything back on those conversations yet.
Okay.
And I'll ask again.
Yeah, if you could do that, I'd appreciate it before the next meeting. If that's somebody that might be a good fit, I'd be happy to reach out to them and see if they have some interest, and then we can bring it to the commission as soon as possible for a vote. I'm assuming no one else has anybody they wanted to recommend for solicitor. Okay. If anybody does come up, obviously let us know. That was the only other item of general business. Anything from any of the other planning commission members tonight?
I still want to talk about complete streets at some point. Not quite sure where to go. Or whether there's funding that we should be pursuing, or whether we should be doing it as part of like the next comprehensive plan. Just don't want to lose that thread, that's all.
No, I appreciate that. Do you know, Gus, and I think you and maybe Joe were looking into this at some point with Jacob, but can you refresh my memory where we left off? I know we had a draft policy, I had thought, so we had some sort of a policy that, we'd have to review and then potentially recommend to city council for passage.
Yeah, so there was the draft policy that was produced a few years ago at
By
this
Craig,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, by Craig Beavers. And it's good. I don't know, I mean, it's old. I don't know if that necessarily makes it out of date per se. I think the logjam we got to was sort of like the what is it, the horse or the wagon? So do we say that all projects should adhere to this? Or do we say that, you have to make changes based on this? Is it for new projects, existing buildings? And then there was, I think, some questions about, is it our place or is it the zoning commission that has to tackle that first? I think there's like momentum and people like the idea, but the mechanics of it, it seemed like there was a little sand in the gears. Just didn't really know like where to start and what actionable items we could actually take beyond all agreeing that it's a good idea, but then to actually implement it. That's where I think the solicitor would be helpful, because we don't know these things and we don't know what order we should be going to, if it needs to be up for a vote, if it's a policy that doesn't need to be voted on, and just sort of like an addendum that we keep in mind for projects that come for our review. So I don't know if there was consensus on the little things that tended to add up, and that's sort of where we got to a logjam on. Was that your recollection? That's sort of how I felt.
It's not my recollection, but just having you explain it, Sylvia, helps like activate what my recollection is. I mean, I do think that it's not something that we can just sort of have in the back of our minds. I do think it's got to be something where we'll need a public process on to talk about. And I think it applies only to new projects. So, the city's going to restripe when they repave, and so they're not going to like put bike lanes in some place where there's just on its own, for instance. But I also think that, we get the administration's, like the city administration's approval first, and then we go through city council, and whatever discussions or concerns or whatever that we sort of really fully vet it through as much as we can in order to sort of adopt something that, before we move forward to what, design recommendations would look like and other kinds of things that might be part of like a more robust implementation of a complete streets policy.
And then we also ran into the issue of the city doesn't own all the streets, so a lot of them are state, so we can't even do anything. Like if we wanted to, I forget who we had in, but if we wanted to turn a stop sign into a stop light or something, like we couldn't. We had to go through the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation because we don't actually run that street. And then there was also the question of if a utility is tearing up a street and putting in new lines and they're responsible for the repaving, are they required to abide by the same rules, whatever term you want to use? That's like, it's those little minutia things that as you sort of flesh things out, you're like, oh yeah, that could present a problem, or I don't know the answer to that, and I don't even know if I am the person who should be answering that question. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a crummy way to end it, so somebody else.
It takes a point person from one of us, and maybe there was a time when I thought that I would really be pushing it through, but it's going to be something, a champion to sort of carry it through.
Don, what, if anything, do you know about complete streets policies? What sort of a kind of general process we might have to go through to,
Well, I
if
was
you're
just
interested in
thinking,
something like that?
I'll put a copy of the policy that was around before in your packets for next month, just to put it on everybody's mind then. I think probably if we get to a point where the commission is satisfied with the policy, then we could talk to the law department about what we need to do to implement it. Do we need to add language to the zoning ordinance or the subdivision ordinance or our paved cut restoration ordinance to actually implement it?
I think that's like the perfect next step, because we just didn't really know where to go. Whoever I spoke with, whoever looked at it was generally in favor of it. It wasn't like from our perspective, a controversial document. The implementation is where we ran into the stop signs, because we don't know those things, right? Like we're not aware of those ordinances and how it works.
Yeah, I'm off the top of my head. Yeah, I couldn't answer. I don't think you could adopt a policy as an ordinance. I think you would have to go to each of these other ordinances and add language in to refer back to that.
And if that's the case, I mean, it's good to know that that's what is needed, because then
Yeah.
at least we can
Yeah.
have like tangible things we can do. So would you say the first step is having all of us sort of on the same page with the policy itself, like this is something we want to move forward with, and then we take those steps?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing from Don is that, it's probably less important for our commission to come up with the precise legal language that would go into a policy or an ordinance. And probably more important, to your suggestion, take a look at, if Don circulates the most recent copy of the ordinance, the most recent version, we can all have a look at it. And I think as a commission, if we come to some agreement about what we're trying to accomplish with
Yeah.
it, and what
Yeah.
we want the effect to be, then we can consult with the law department and figure out what the best way of making that happen is.
Yeah, I'd love to even just be able to get some like small victories in place. I think oftentimes with government, it's like we have to do all or nothing. If we can tackle
Yeah,
these one by
think-
one.
Yeah, I think adopting the policy or recommending the policy to city council, I'd look at it like a comprehensive plan. The commission prepares it, submits it to council, recommends it, council adopts it, but it's just a plan. You still have to have the zoning ordinance to implement the plan and the subdivision ordinance. I think it's going to work probably along those same lines.
Okay. All right. I mean, I think that's a good way of handling. So yeah, Don, if you don't mind circulating the most recent version of the policy, we can all take a look at it before the next meeting. We'll keep this on the agenda for our next meeting, and we can
Okay.
continue discussing it at least.
Great, thanks. Try to get momentum going again, so
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it up.
That's great, thanks, Gus.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
So moved.
Thanks, Jay. We have a second?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.